Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal. My name is Misty Gaither, and I am your host. And I am so excited that I have with me tonight Michelle Desrochers, all the way from Canada. And I know you have seen her on multiple paranormal shows, and we're going to get into all that. I'm just so thrilled to be able to get the opportunity to talk to you. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're a paranormal expert, you're a demonologist. I mean, everything, aliens, cryptoid, a cryptoologist, just so many interests, and it's kind of like mixed into one.
I'll back up a second. I don't really believe in experts in
Hmm.
the field of paranormal, and television is always sort of likes to put labels on us and puts a lot of pressure on you.
Right,
but
right. I got
but
you.
I don't need that. but you know, and not a demonologist, but I'm more of a student of all of it. I've been in the field for 20 years. I'm an experiencer, extraterrestrial experiencer. I've had I've had an attachment. I've had all kinds of different things growing up. I grew up in a home that was very open and communicative because I come from a line of all of this stuff. It wasn't uncommon to hear paranormal stories in my family coming from a line of mediums. I mean, I saw them from a very early age. But as far as getting into crypto stuff or cryptid stuff, I think I've just spent so much time researching. I love to research. I consult, in my real life of just creating television shows and TV series and radio shows and doing a lot of behind the scenes things. So it's my job to research and to know things, and I just love it. It all ties in together. So to not have an idea as to how all of it works, you're just missing part of the picture.
You do have to be well versed in different subjects because you get someone in talking about, I don't know, the Mothman or something, and if you don't know about it, then you just kind of sit there and just,
And go,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, right, yeah, the
that's
Mothman. Who
great.
the hell's the Mothman? Right, right.
That's
And
it,
let them
that
take,
guy.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Good
No.
old Mothman, yeah. Remember
Oh,
him.
absolutely. It's your job. It's your job to know all of that. But I really truly love researching. I can't learn enough. It's just the field. I kind of lump it all in as a field of high strangeness. I love ancient history. I'm a world traveler, international traveler. I love it. I only stay in haunted locations, and I learn the history of pretty much everywhere that I've been to. And I try to have experiences there and just try to, again, just embody all of it. So I just can't learn enough about everything because, man, there's just been so much kept from us. If
Yeah.
you don't take it upon yourself to learn it and reference it and cross-reference it to death, we're just left in the dark.
One of the good things about having, like I was saying, like a vast knowledge. You were on Paranormal Survivor like 3 or 4 seasons of the Haunted Case Files, and that's where I had discovered you a while, I'm not going to say how long, but you know, a little bit
Yeah.
ago. And, I
Right.
just really was impressed. Hotel Paranormal and just so many different shows. But I've always wondered, and I think I did pick up on it a little bit, but okay, you're in Canada, correct?
Mm.
And you go and you travel different places.
Hmm.
Now, are there different techniques that different countries use to communicate with the dead? Now, the reason that I'm asking that is because I notice that when people are like in England, for Great Britain or whatever, for example, they're a little bit more politer to the ghost, or how that they phrase their how that they speak to the dead. And so I'm just wondering, is it like different in some other countries, or you just kind of go in with what you know and just roll with it, or how is that?
Well, I think it's different for everyone, not even just so much per country. I mean, Canadians are always, there's all that standing jokes of you're all just too polite. So maybe,
Right.
maybe we are. I've never been one to challenge. I don't really believe in challenging A spirit, I believe they're people without bodies. They're just beings that have, they've just lost the baggage, as I say. But my primarily, I've always dealt in more malevolent cases and such. But I still don't believe in challenging, but I do believe in holding my ground. I mean, we communicate the same way as anyone else. However, when I was brought in to do investigations, I handled it a lot differently. You have a lot of people who will come out, and we're all different, and I commend everyone who donates their time to help other people for sure. But for me and how I had my team go in, it wasn't like, hey, you're lucky we're here to help you out. It was always along the lines of, thank you for entrusting yourself and your family to me and let me take the weight for a little while. Never wanted people to feel like they should be lucky that I was there. I wanted them to know that I was appreciative of the trust that they were putting into me to go out and to help them. And because sometimes, it's a long process because you have to work with the mindset of the individuals. You have to educate them a little bit. I used to have an 18 to 24-month waiting list at one time for me to go in someplace personally. So I would work with people behind the scenes and just sort of teach them a little bit to take control of their space. And by the time I was able to get in there, I would say 70% of the time, people would just go, we're good. You got us on the right track and we've got this under control, which was music to my ears because that's the end result of what you want.
As a paranormal investigator, that you have to have your mindset right and your attitude and everything
Mm,
right when you go to a location. Because if you bring a lot of baggage and a lot of your own personal drama with you, then that
mm,
kind of translates into you won't be able to do a good job for anyone, for the spirits, for the living, So I think it's good as investigators, that we, do like a spiritual cleansing, or just to evaluate our own selves before we step in, because it's, like you said, it's an honor to be able to speak to the dead and to help the living. And,
mm.
and I think sometimes when people are in the field for a while, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the correct word. I don't know if it's jaded, or just kind of used to, how things are, and it kind of, okay, we're here, we're going to investigate this house, I'm sure it's not going to be. And what can we do so we don't lose that kind of that enthusiasm that you once had when you first start out, and how to remember why we are exactly in this field.
It's a tough one because we all have baggage,
Hmm.
and it's difficult not to carry some of that with you. Part of the problem is, and one of the reasons I just retired from filming was just because it was all very stereotypical. And don't get me wrong, I've worked with some incredible producers, but I kind of got tired of getting labeled as it's a demon, it's a demon, because
Right.
I am the most logical person ever. It could be psychokinesis, it could be telekinesis, it could be like so many different things, but that doesn't sell, right? So
Right.
I've always been honored that I have been asked to do as much media as I've done through the years, but it's a little bit deceiving as to how I really am. And I think to share in that enthusiasm, we just have to keep remembering our roots. And now with television, it's so popular to do these type of shows that I've had to comment on, or stories to tell, that people are out there, and not everybody. I don't want to label and lump everybody in because I have some great friends and acquaintances who are in the field who do incredible work, and a lot of them you never see on television. Because they're behind the scenes and they're the ones who are boots on the ground. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who come into the field in hopes of getting that one case or that one family. I don't even like calling people cases, but getting that one event there they could say, hey, yes, I can do your show. I've seen people say to other people who have brought me on to clean up a mess and just say, well, we just think it's all you, that there's nothing here. Yet I physically watch those people have experiences But in the same respect, they put the family through that and say, "Oh, hey, do you want to come and tell your story on the show with us?" Because it was the only story they had.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think we need to not lose sight of our roots, why we got into it in the first place, and you just be respectful, and I think good things will come back to you. Spirits will communicate with you, like they can read you, I mean, it's like having a person, you're intruding on their space, and if you're going to be disrespectful and demanding, they're going to sort of look at you and say, well, who are you to us? And let's not lose sight of the fact that sometimes there are malevolent human spirits as well. And here we are inviting communication. When you're dealing with something malevolent, you don't technically want to invite communication because the family wants it gone.
Hmm.
So if you're going in there to communicate with it, or he or she, and then you get to go home, they get left behind. And now things are amping up because it's like maybe the mindset of, well, you wanted to talk to me half an hour ago. Now I want to talk. But if you're cool, I think, spirits as they get used to you throughout the evening, they will give you that communication.
I always say how you were in life is how you're going to be pretty much in death. And like you
Yes.
said, everything is not demonic. And, it may be just somebody that's kind of an ass and they just like for, they're, and you have people that, spirits that want attention. And so, and you have to kind of read the room, I think, and know exactly what's going on before, you throw the D word around.
No, I agree with you. Not that you don't have really malevolent
Oh,
things,
yeah,
There
they're
have been
there.
things, I mean, I've got hours and hours of recordings of things growling at me, calling me every name in the book, and it's how your reaction is as well, because, I've been called things, and I you could get aggressive, or I'll kind of just go, yeah, 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 I know. you know, that's stopping. Nobody's talking to you right
Right.
now. I mean, I was called a C word once. First time anything ever said that to me from that standpoint, a message from coming in from, the ether. And the best I could come up with was like, oh, you're a potty mouth. I couldn't know what to say. It's never been done to
Potty
me.
mouth.
I was as good as I could come up with, and I failed miserably at it, holding my ground. But I was like, what? Did
It
you
just
just
kind of.
call me?
I was called the B word one time by a spirit, and it just kind of takes you aback because and you really don't know what to say, and I was like, what, but yeah,
It's true. And especially if they name you,
yes,
they'll say your name and you're just kind of like, yeah, but then it's got that personal feel,
yeah. It puts it on another level because you're like, they know me, and they know more about you than what we probably even think that they know.
You're not wrong. I did a radio interview at one point. It was like 4 hours long. It was pretty lengthy. And I was able to see the chat room. And the host said, do you think they know who you are over there? I'm like, the humble one. No, why would they? Who am I? No better than anybody else. And then there was a medium in the chat room because I could see just through what the dialogue was. And she had said, oh, they know very well who she is.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I was like, ouch.
Right.
That one stung a bit, you know.
Well,
So,
if they know you, then they know not to mess with you too.
oh, let's
Well,
hope so.
right. Saw a quote on your IG page that I really liked. Because I like to research, on all the pages and different things when I'm going to have a guest, and it says, "What happened has happened. Give your energy to what matters." And what you want to manifest. And I really like that quote because that is so important because we kind of, hold on to the past or, try to, "Well, I wish we could change." And we can't change what's happened, but we can change the future. And so
Hmm.
I really like that. And it says, in what you want to manifest. And
Hmm.
so, you do a lot of mentoring to different people and consulting and different things. And so, what is some advice that you give to someone maybe just starting out
the manifestation thing is huge. I truly believe in the power of manifestation. Mindset is very, very important. And it's like what we were talking about earlier, getting your head straight, because we have no control over what's going on around us. The only thing we can control is how we react to that. Some of us move forward, and sometimes we leave people behind and hope that they catch up.
Right.
So it's very, very important just to ground yourself, stay focused. And if you can do that, I always say sky is the limit. So when I'm helping people create things, for example, I've had people just say to me, we just want to start off our own podcast. We're struggling with the name and with the theme, and what can we do? I just seem to have a knack for popping out names. It's like just bam, bam, bam. And then and they'll be just like, oh my God, this is good, And I'm like, yeah, yeah, have fun with it, take it. I love to help people that way. Like right now, I'm participating or consulting on a large television series that will be, I guess, put out there, shopped out. The producers are very, well known in film, and very well known through all of the big, you know, um, shall we say, channels on television. I don't want to pop out names. And it's very exciting, and it's totally something that is not, it's not paranormal. I can say that right there. But I have created a paranormal show. I was approached one time by a company, or a production company, that said, if you would come back to film, what would it take to get you to film? I said, so you're asking me to create something, but I don't want to film, but you're asking me to create something. And they said, yes. I said, okay. Within about 10 or 15 minutes, created an entire show. And they were just like, media goes with the narrative, so you got to go with the narrative and whatever the flavor of the year is, and they all follow suit. But this was outside of that, and I can tell you that without being given any credit, which I would have appreciated.
Sure.
However, I'm humbled that they thought enough to sell it out. And it is without giving names. It is actually on TV today, and I don't know, it's third, fourth, fifth season, and it's doing very well. So that just tells me that people love it, and that is all that matters in the end.
What differences do you see, like back when you first started, and, like as far as the equipment and everything, like what differences? I mean, there's so much now. I mean, communication and the SLS and just so many different things when, like back then, make it was, of course you had some cameras and the recorders and different things, but what do you think that we rely now too much on technology? Is it the love for the field, or is it the love of what the field can do for us?
Well, that's a fantastic question. I'll tell you that over the years, I've probably spent between 15 and $20,000 on equipment. I used to do events, and people want to know, is this stuff real? Does it work? So I had a lot of opportunity to really examine a lot of this equipment firsthand. And I had all the top stuff, and I had pieces designed for me. I own an actual Frank's box that
Oh,
Frank
how
Sumption
cool.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gifted to me
Cool.
by a dear friend, and I was in communication with Frank before he passed away, and it was interesting some of the things that he had said to me, because I sometimes I don't know that people realize why he was. It wasn't, just spirits he was trying to communicate with. He basically he said to me, and I have a conversation because we were chatting, and it was extraterrestrials, much like Nikola Tesla,
Hmm.
had done. I mean, he was working different both sides as well. So, with that being said, I have spent a great deal of money in having things designed. Before Frank's box, I had other same idea developed, and I've kept going, and I find it all fascinating. I love that people are they're just brilliant when it comes to being able to come out with devices to further the field along. I'm pretty old school, however. I really still prefer cassette tapes, Polaroid cameras, videotape, something that you can't fudge. And the only way it gets fudged is if it hits the computer and the digital world gets a hold of it. That's when you fudge it.
Hmm.
So I'm still old school that way. And I also am very careful because I know that any form of communication, depending on what you're dealing with, is an invitation. So whether you're using a pendulum, whether you're using a Ouija board, whether you're using a phone app, whether you're using a voice recorder, a ghost box, you are initiating an invitation to communicate. And if you're not careful with that, I mean, it's what you want because this is
Sure.
what all this equipment is for. And if you're in a place that doesn't involve a family having to be left behind and they are not interested in what's there, they just want it gone, then perfect. You have there are perfect arenas out there, perfect locations that invite people to come in and do that sort of thing. But it's very difficult. Like I've come to learn in my own experiences with people. I actually stopped the investigating because I dealt with primarily a lot of private people who they didn't care what was there.
Right.
And it wasn't up to me to make the decision to come in and start opening up dialogue with something they wanted gone.
If you think about it, some people they won't touch a Ouija board, but then
Mm.
they'll use the phone apps, but it has the same, in a way, the same results. It's a invitation. It's a form of
It's
communication.
intention.
Yes, and you're
Yes,
right.
it's
Yes.
about intention, not necessarily the device.
I also have another quote from your IG page, and it says, "Life is a gift. Wake up every day and realize that." And I think that that's just a beautiful saying because, we're not promised tomorrow. And, we're blessed right now to be among the living. And so
Mm.
it's what we make of it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. People go through life existing, and I have been very fortunate in my life. I've lived a life that many people would wish to have long before, the paranormal. I lived a very interesting life of travel, and I met very fascinating people. And I've just that's never stopped. I've always lived, and whether whatever your situation is, because not everybody is that fortunate, but take the best part of your life and concentrate on that, because unfortunately, when they say you get out of life what you put out or put in, like if you are projecting a lot of the hardship, it seems to come back to us. And I've learned that, you know what, I'm going to start looking at the glass like it's half full instead of half empty. It's just a tweak of that mindset, and it does make a difference. And you start to attract like-minded people as well. It's not like I haven't had my share of problems. Of course, it's not been a perfect life. It's been a really great journey though. And I look at it as a journey. And I say to people, learn one thing new every day. Smile at people. Not a lot, not enough of that going on these days. Just smile at people. Just smile. Sometimes you just make somebody's day by just smiling.
And you know what? I couldn't have said it better myself. So I know that you're extremely busy. You got, to record your own podcast coming up
Oh, I'm
shortly.
live
So yeah,
tonight. Yeah.
right. Or live, yeah.
Oh,
I used to do mine live too, but thanks
oh,
to
yeah.
Brandon,
No room,
the
no room for
recording.
blunders.
Oh no, like you say it is there. You can't take it back.
Forever.
Right. So what? Y'all do Halloween, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, see, I'm like I said, I got some questions and stuff because, I know like Thanksgiving. Y'all don't do Thanksgiving, but you may have your own form of it or whatever.
Oh, we
But
have Thanksgiving,
y'all
just
have,
different than yours.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're a month apart, and you
Okay.
guys have better sales than us.
Well, I don't know about this year because everything's so high. But so how do you real quickly? How do you celebrate? Like, what do you do? You do anything special, or you just kind of stay at home
Well,
and pass out candy, or?
Well, Halloween, I mean, October for me has been a blur for the last 2 decades. So,
Right.
um, but no, I mean, I have spent a lot of time just decorating and a lot of, I mean, it becomes lifestyle for some of us. You know, I have real human, skulls and skeletons, and I have antique funeral collection and church collection, and I have, our home has always been very, I would say, well, we had a Gothic revival manor, which was haunted, and we sold that and got someplace quiet, and but the house, the decor is still very much the same. Like what you see behind me
Hmm.
is my office, but the whole house is like this.
Nice.
It's just very, very medieval like. So for us, yes, I used to do a lot of public appearances, and I shaved back all of that. Now I've just spent my time doing a lot of other people's shows. And when I stopped filming, that freed up my time because I never got to see kids come to the door for Halloween. Even tomorrow night, I'm doing another live show because I do them 2 hours a week
Hmm.
or 2 nights a week, 2 hours a show.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to be able to see some kids in costumes this year. It would be nice. So we do much the same as you guys. We really get into it. We really love it. Decorate the place up and such.
Well, everybody, be sure to, we'll be putting up Michelle Desrochers, her socials, and about her podcast, The Outer Realm. And so be sure to check her out. Just a wonderful asset to the paranormal community. I appreciate you taking the time, like I said, to be on my show. And I hope that we talk again soon.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a fun, fun, fun time.
Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you next week. Have a good night.